I'm back! Because it's time to do the patch stuff. Because I want to get to Endwalker things and do all that goodness. I'm just gonna jump right into it because I want to get started. Alright, I believe... Where do I have to go? Here? Yeah, I think it's in here. I think I need to talk to Tataru. My gosh. I'm so excited. Oh, wait. There we go. Now we're ready. Shaken Resolve. Dimma! Gods, it's good to see you. I hope your being here means you've had your fill of rest. More than my fill, not so much as 40 winks, truth be told. More than my fill. Well, you've certainly earned it. Not much has happened since your last visit. I had planned for you to meet that helper I told you about, but he refuses to answer his link pearl. I do hope he's alright. We've been exchanging messages with the Eorzean Alliance throughout, though. They say the fighting has finally stopped at the Gimlet Dark, and that the Empire has shown no sign of movement. Which means we might actually have a moment to ourselves for a change. Seeing as you're back, maybe you could tell me more about your time in the First? Great! Oh, and if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Flamine to join us. She'll want to know what happened to Minfilia, and I think it's best she hears it from you. We'll meet you on the terrace at the House of Splendors. Okay. Pressure. Hang on a sec. This is not tracking what I want it to track. There it is. Oh, there is an experience reward. Okay, so I'll just... Not that. Stop tracking. There we go. Alright. I guess I'll just swap to Red Mage when I turn it in. So get that experience. I got this today from the Titania Extreme. I'm very proud of it. And I love it very much. And it makes me happy. And it's very cute. Hello, Flamine. Oh dear. Dimma, my, it has been too long. Tataru did mention that I would be joining you, did she not? Thank you. Words cannot well express how I have longed to know more of the First, though this world Minfilia has sacrificed so much to save. But come, rest your feet. Tataru should be arriving shortly. I don't want to tell her. And so Minfilia chose to pass on her gifts to the next oracle, this girl who Thancred named Reen. To have such a burden thrust upon her as a child, only to embrace it when given the choice. In that respect, they are quite alike. It would seem her legacy is indeed in capable hands. Dimma, might I ask a favor of you when next you return to the First? To tell Reen what I cannot. To tell her, thank you. And I would offer thanks to you as well, for staying with her to the end. Begging your pardon, but could I have a word? Hey, Real! Real, I hope you're here to tell me you've received word from our helper. I wish. Nay, I have not had a peep out of him, and it's been a good long while now. Too bloody long. On account of which, I'm going to sneak over the border and see if I can't get a signal from him closer up. But what if they catch you? There must be another way. Well, it ain't as if we can ask Thancred to do it. Besides, I shouldn't have no trouble picking my way through Gimlet now that the fighting's died down. Gods know there's enough shadows to hide in. And it beats waiting around here twiddling me thumbs. Any road, I just thought I'd let you know. Now I'd best be... I nearly forgot. Kreil's at the stones and she wants a word. Something to do with the patients. She was getting ready to examine him again when I left. We'd best head back then. I'm sure it's important. Okay. Well, everything's getting suspiciouser and suspiciouser. Hello, thank you for letting me know Final Fantasy. I do appreciate. Yeet! Seems she's still examining them, though I do hope it's nothing bad.
You're here. Good.
So, how are they?
Still locked in slumber, but otherwise in good physical health. For the present, at least.
For the present? Oh no, is something wrong with them?
I'm afraid there may be. I summoned you after detecting faint signs of instability in Thancred's corporeal ether. But subsequent examination suggested all 5 might be affected. And when I examined them just now, my fears were confirmed. Tellingly, the degree of instability varies between them. Thancred exhibits the most notable signs, followed by Y'shtola and Urianger. The twins' ether, meanwhile, remains relatively stable, but there is a change there too if one knows to look for it.
Hold on. Isn't that the order they were called away in?
Indeed. Which leads me to believe the instability will only increase with time. Though I can but speculate, I fear this may be a symptom of a weakening link between body and soul.
By the gods! What happens if the link is broken?
I cannot say for certain. This is all unknown territory to us. Yet whatever happens, it cannot be good. Mercifully, the instability is still only slight. And you may rest assured Master Matoya and I will do everything in our power to keep it from worsening. Be that as it may, it is imperative that you find a way to restore our friends' souls to their bodies.
Leave it to me, no rest for the righteous, eh?
I realize you've only just returned from saving 2 worlds, but time is not on our side.
But where's he even supposed to start? We had the greatest minds in the realm hunting high and low for an answer, and they ran out of places to look.
You stated in your report that the Exarch had originally intended to reverse the summoning process by means of his own death, correct?
Don't.
Raha always was a reckless young fool, ready to die for the first righteous cause that came along. His plan might well have worked, but I for one am glad he never had the opportunity to see it through.
Good.
Even if it does mean our friends must remain stranded a while longer. There is another way, I am sure of it. And the key lies with him, with the Exarch. Pray return to the First and apprise him and the others of the situation. We, meanwhile, will do what we can from here, And, if the fates are kind, we will have good news to share upon your return.
Pain. Oh, we can just teleport there. Well, it's that time again when everything goes to chaos and we gotta be the ones to solve it. Alright, the ocular. Okay. I don't know what that fairy is. Definitely curious, but I'm not gonna pick it up right now. I got scolded today for not doing more of the blue quests. People were like, oh yeah, there's this dungeon that has this, this, and this. And I was like, that's a dungeon? They were like, yeah. How do you not know about it? I was like, because I'm a sprout who knows nothing. Okay, time to swap to Red Mage to turn this in and get some experience. Hi, Gra. Ah, Dimma, you are returned. I hope your time in the source was suitably restful. But of course it wasn't. Go on. The corporeal ether shows signs of instability? By the gods. Possibility never even occurred to me. If you have returned in the hope that my research has yielded a solution, I fear you will be sorely disappointed. 'Tis but a mercy we have the likes of Mistress Kreil and Master Matoya to keep our friends' bodies safe while we wrestle with the problem. But they cannot forestall the separation of body and soul indefinitely. Come, the others must be told. Oh, and we go into the cutscene as a Red Mage. Prepare yourselves. Oh, he does look so good in that outfit, though.
Pray excuse my late arrival.
Will Thancred and Reen not be joining us?
Nay, milady. With apologies to all, they beg leave to pursue their investigation of the empty to its conclusion. Should matters here demand their presence, however, they did assure me that they would make themselves available.
Yes, of course. Then let us proceed. I think it best that you begin by providing a summary of Mistress Kreil's findings.
I suppose it was only to be expected that some change would occur.
Yet our souls seem unaffected, to my eye at least. How long they will remain so is another question. Kreil is right. It is imperative we find a way to return to the source.
Perhaps an explanation of the method by which I brought you here will yield some inspiration. Ere I begin, it must be noted that I am by no means a gifted mage. In order to employ powerful magics, I must rely upon the Crystal Tower and its boundless reservoirs of energy. The magic that summoned you was no exception. 'Tis a singular spell, adapted through painstaking effort from the technique that transported me to the first. To use an analogy, it works by cutting a hole in the fabric of reality. A hole tailored to the object of summoning, through which it and it alone may pass unscathed. Though I succeeded in creating said hole, I failed to latch onto my intended target. Instead of you, the spell found those close to you, and ended up summoning them in their incomplete state. I would not soon throw my life away, not after the lengths you and yours went to save it.
But
And so long as I breathe, I will spare no effort to see you safely home. But should all else fail, and your lives be at stake, there remains one sure method.
Ow! What was that for?
How can you even entertain such thoughts? You owe your life to the Warrior of Light, and you don't get to die unless he says so.
Your followers await your divine judgment.
What did you do?
If the two of you have finished, perhaps we could return to our discussion? Rather than dwelling upon the multiple failed attempts at transference, I think it would behoove us to focus on the solitary success. I would draw your attention to the fact that our friend can travel between worlds possessed not only of his body and soul, but his personal effects besides. This is no different from the teleportation magics to which we are all accustomed. Magics that allow for the transportation of those inanimate objects one considers to be an extension of oneself.
Are you suggesting that simply by considering us his possessions, he could carry our souls back to the source upon his person?
Well, it would be nice if things were that simple for a change. But vague notions of ownership seem a rather tenuous thing to stake our lives on. So much as a moment of doubt on his part, and we'd be left floating in the rift.
Milady hath the right of it. The requisite fixity of belief would be too much to ask even of our friend. Yet, were we to immure our souls within an object in his possession, mayhap then our safe passage could be assured. White auracite would, I believe, serve as a suitable vessel for this purpose. It was conceived to imprison the massy soul of an Ascian, and should house one of ours with relative ease. We would need only to ensure our soul's safe preservation inside the stone, and identify a means by which they might be transferred back unto our vacant bodies.
Soul preservation and transference. I believe I know of someone who may be able to assist us. On the far shore of the source, there stands a great palace built by the elves. It was forsaken in the wake of the flood, but a certain Numo chose to make their home there soon after. Though they have long lived as a recluse, they once occupied a place of honor in Verbert's royal court, and it is said that none in all of Norvrant is more knowledgeable than they on matters of the soul.
Well, I've no objection to seeking a helping hand, but if they've gone to such lengths to hide themselves away from the world, what makes you think they'd be willing to lend us one?
A worthy question. Years ago, I myself tried and failed to solicit their cooperation in the battle against the Sin Eaters. No sooner had I begun to make my plea than they unleashed a swarm of their familiars upon me. Unlike me, however, you have curried favor with the Fae folk. By that merit alone, I am hopeful that they would grant you an audience. They may still be inclined to turn you away, of course, but if their knowledge might feasibly facilitate your return home, we have to try.
okay, Crystarium weapon coffer. Give me money! Alright. Now we can put you back in your Reaper gear. Grand Adventure. The Grand Cosmos, that is, the palace we seek, stands on the opposite shore of the source. I can arrange for a boat to carry us there. Whilst thou journeyest thither, I think it best that I devote mine energies to the creation of white auracite. By thy leave, of course. The process requireth no small amount of time, and should the Numo consent to lend us their aid, We will have need of a suitable vessel ere long. Sorry, I just had to check on something. It looks like there's a potential issue with the street. Agreed. Then I would ask the rest of you to meet me in Solon, and do be prepared for a warm reception. May or may not be an issue with the stream. We'll have to see. Oh no! I opened the wrong thing! Okay, there we go. Alright, speak with the Crystal Exarch in Solon. Just down in Lakeland. Off to Fort Job. Fort Job time. I don't think I can fly here. Nope. Okay, I'm sorry, little dragon. I think I need to ride Fenrir. I can't tell which one's faster, so we'll just go with the motorcycle to be safe. Fort Job! Okay, good, so it is working. Axel, hello! I was kind of worried for a minute there. I was like, wait, has it not been on? Okay, let's see. That's so long. I need to get flight unlocked. I have so many projects I have to do on Dim, my word. I gotta unlock all these things, gotta unlock the extremes, gotta do flight, gotta finish the story. Story is priority right now because I need to unlock all the stuff for the story. You're not dumb. It can be confusing. Plus, if it takes a minute to, like, populate, you know? Then you start off with it. I mean, I don't know how it works. I just work here. Thirstless Shore. I've also discovered that there's normal raids for this. See, when I went through this the first time, I didn't know there were normal raids, but now I know there's normal raids, and now I know there's goodies you can get from the normal raids. And now I understand a lot of things that I didn't understand in past cinematics, and why all the time you keep seeing these questions, like these people, they're like, oh, look at this random thing, and then I keep waiting for it to pop up in the story, and it doesn't, and it turns out those are normal raids. Thought that was the live video because it was playing. Interface. Oh yeah, it can be confusing. It definitely can be. As I told you before, I had scarcely set foot on the palace grounds when I was set upon by our host's familiars, and I expect our reception today will be no different, which is why I propose we march through the main gate, weapons drawn. I'm sorry, but are we not here to petition for assistance? You can't honestly think barging in looking for a fight is going to persuade them. Actually, I believe the Exarch may have the right of it. They have no doubt poured a great deal of time and energy into those creations. Were I them, I should be most interested to meet those who would overcome my defenses. As would any true seeker of knowledge. And there is little we can say or do to convince them to help us if we know nothing of their character, nor less why they choose to hide themselves from the world. But if we can seize their interest, mayhap we can earn ourselves an audience. Weapons drawn it is, then. Though I must say, Exarch, you certainly seem to be enjoying all of this. Oh, he's just so excited to go on an adventure with us. Do I? Well, I will not deny that I enjoy the thought of fighting alongside you all rather than pacing about inside the Crystal Tower. You both seem to be in rather high spirits if you ask me, not that I'm surprised. Your moods invariably improve when Dima is around. What exactly are you implying? He averted a calamity, and the light which seemed destined to consume him has been extinguished. 'Tis only natural that we be pleased to see him. Yes, well, you will have plenty of time to celebrate his good health after we've finished here. Of course. Then let us proceed to the palace. Aha! The Grand Cosmos! You wanna join? Can run this with people if people are interested. If not, I'll just go in with the gang here. Look at them all watching me. What's he say? Small talk. Oh, it's raining. 'Tis good to be here with you for a change. Whatever you would have me do, you need only but say the word. Aww. How long has it been since we last went on such an expedition? I cannot help but be reminded of the ruins of Scala. Crafting, very nice. Can but imagine what manner of beasts keep guard here. No doubt they will afford us scant opportunity to explore the palace. A pity. I think we've done enough talking, don't you? We have Numo to impress. Alright, let's do it. Party of NPCs. Alright, we gotta bring him.
Very well.
I will not bring Alize because she likes to use my limit breaks. Alright, let's do it. Look at them! Creepy. I know, I was so annoyed. I don't think I've used Y'shtola before, actually. Alright, let's do it. Should you value your lives, you will quit this place at once. Now be gone with you. Alright. I can't understand what they're saying. But I have the chat pulled up. Oh! Graha, help me! So yeah, she's only ever used it once because immediately after she used it, I stopped using her in my party. I don't trust her not to do it again.
Away with you!
Everyone sprint! This is so cool. This is so cool. I'm gonna have to come back here and take pictures. Well, maybe. It would be a little bit strange to take pictures of him here. It doesn't really suit him. Trying to get better about using like actual keys instead of clicking things. It is a cool space. He snuck into the castle. Swish and flick, my lovely. Swish and flick. Okay. I don't see why he would sneak in, though. He's just generally not interested in this sort of thing. He has no reason to be in a place like this. Will you stop doing AoEs? Graha! Please! It's yeet time. Doom broom. It is a goofy noise, isn't it? I don't trust them not to use my limit break, so I always use it. They're stirring up the air. Leave me be. Warg shoes. Okay, let's see, what do those look like? Those are not what I wanted to look at. How foolish. Well, that's something. They're not terrible, especially for casting shoes. Oh. This is beautiful, my word. Wings of dreams, I bar thy path. You really do need to try it out. It's a ton of fun. I'm fairly certain I'm not even using it optimally. Everything just so solid when it hits. The most satisfying sound is that boom when the Reaper drops an LB3. Round we go. Boom. Yep. The story's pretty good too. The Reaper storyline is actually the whole reason I kind of one of the reasons I ended up in the RP that I'm in now with them. It's not super long either. Well, I mean, aside from the fact that you have to level it, of course. You know, most people aren't like me and don't level to 90 and then burn through the class story.
Away with you!
Come on. There we go. Let's go. He's still called the Crystal Exarch instead of Grahatirai. Vending earrings for my 100% totally high level tank that I definitely have. Hey, Alphanu! But it's definitely a good one to pick up too, because it is higher level, so you have to do less level for it. So if you're wanting to, you know, get classes up quickly, generally the higher level classes are good ways to start. That's part of why I don't want to pick up Arcanist, because I don't feel like leveling from level 1. Like, not that I don't want to pick it up, I don't want to pick it up yet. I'll get it eventually, but oh. Huh. I'm good at this game. Where's my seed? Oh. Crap. You stole it!
I will not hold back!
No! Get out of there! We'll pay for that. Well, if it was gonna be ruined, you shouldn't have challenged us to fight it. The AI is not bad. I like that it actually knows to turn bosses. I can do without the delay, but you know, I'll take what I can get.
This is going to leave a mark!
Very, very fast. That was incredibly morbid. Over here, like, I'm gonna learn how to use buttons, and then I just immediately don't. Oh, no wonder I'm not doing as much damage. There we go. Meow. Fast cat. Oh, what? Huh. Ghosts? There we go.
So be it!
Oh, the king dude. You have sullied these halls long enough. Come, Lugus. Our guests want for company. I don't remember how to do this.
I will not hold back.
Oh, I did this very wrong.
I will not hold back.
Oh, that's not good. You burned up a piece of furniture. And I do not believe we have the DPS output to deal with this. Crap. I did it again.
I will not hold back.
Oh, I'm so bad at this.
Zaliak, protect me!
Oh no! Alpha, no! That's really bad. I killed Alpha, no.
This is going to leave a mark.
I'm with you.
Oh dear, I could get everyone killed. LB. Well, that failed. Don't tell me to be not reckless! That was so mean! Alpha nope indeed. Yeah, flew to the furniture. You hear that? Don't be so reckless. I wasn't being reckless. I was trying to be good. This is how it always happens with them. He's just like minding his own business, and people are like, "You're being so reckless. How is all of this happening?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm just trying to live my life. Things keep happening to me." Oh, I wish that the shortcut would have taken me all the way to the end. Now, hopefully this time I don't kill Alpha Node.
So be it.
I don't like that I have to pull the boss every time. I feel awkward about it. I had to do a quick mental calculation there. It's like, which is my right? Okay. Ow. I should have yeet, but I don't have that bound to a quick key, so it's not easy for me to get to. Need to figure out a way to rework my keybinds, but it's tricky because my hands are so small. Anything beyond 5 is... I have to move my entire hand to reach because my hands are small. And I have some buttons right next to my hand, but for some reason I can't keybind them. I'm not sure why. The other option is to keybind them to letters, but in order to do that I have to unbind other things. So I gotta like actually sit down and figure out what my bars should be, and that takes effort. And time out of speedrun things. Nyong. Yeah, I can't. Q or Z and X are really bad for me because I have to fold my hand up into like a pretzel to get at them. Yeah, I don't have those used though because they're already keybound to other things. So then I would have to figure out where I'm going to put those other things. And that takes a lot of work that I don't want to put in right now. Basically, in order to utilize those things, I'd have to keybind everything. That's a hassle. Somebody... burn that sofa and it weren't me.
I will not hold back.
And this time it wasn't me. Everyone's alive? Good, good. That was terrifying.
I will not hold back.
To me.
There's not enough chandeliers. I'm just using it. That was terrifying. Way more difficult than it should have been.
That was my fiercest familiar. Oh, impressive.
The little dog tail.
Backlook, 'tis good to see you again after all these years. And judging by your vigorous greeting, I dare say the feeling is mutual. To be sure, a simple shake of the hand would have sufficed by way of welcome, but I shan't complain. But you must be wondering as to the purpose of our visit. We come to beg your assistance in a most urgent matter.
Shake? Beg?
Our comrades' very souls are in danger. If we are to save them, we will need the benefit of your unsurpassed knowledge on the matter. Please, will you not sit and hear our plea?
Oh, how dare you! How dare you speak thus in my presence! It was to escape such words of temptation that I hid myself from the world of men. You are sinners, one and all, and I swore never again to have any part in your affairs.
I can only imagine what terrible events forced you into a life of seclusion. But I know that the Numo are a good and noble folk. It is not in your nature to turn a blind eye to the plight of those around you. And in treating with us, I am certain whatever mistrust you feel for man will begin to heal.
It's funny seeing a cat say all this. Damn.
If you will not be satisfied, I suppose I could listen. After all, there's no harm in just... No, I mustn't. Not again. That damn court mage seemed to have the best of intentions too, and countless innocents died for my naivety. Oh, you know not what you ask of me, what horrors my knowledge has wrought.
Use all you want, we won't lie down and accept defeat. We would never misuse it. He is a simple man.
You wish only to save your friends? Nothing more? Do you swear it?
No. No.
Oh, very well. I will hear your petition, but that is all. And I expect fitting payment for my troubles.
Commensurate with your contribution to our cause. No more and no less, I promise you. With that settled, might I impose upon you to join us at the Crystarium? I'm afraid the nature of my friend's predicament calls for absolute secrecy.
Oh, we did it! Okay, now, Red Mage. There you are, the others have gone ahead to the Crystal Tower with Bedlook. For the record, I truly wish we hadn't had to resort to using such words when treating with them. I have ever sought to convince, not compel. Yet I cannot deny that a part of me is glad Ariane shared his knowledge of the Numo with us. Had he not, Bedlook wouldn't be here. Speaking of whom, we should hurry. To keep our guest waiting would only add insult to injury. Small morsels of experience. We now enter the Grand Cosmos. Yes. Hang on. Swap back to Reaper. We mustn't dally here any longer, Dimma. If Bedlug is to hear the truth of our travails in the first, you of all people should be present. It really is. I really like the Shadowbringers quest accept and complete music. Up here.
I'm sorry. You mean to tell me not only that the return of night was your doing, but that you hail from another world as well?
Everything we told you, of the source, the shards, the 7 umbral calamities, all of it is true. I realize how fantastical it sounds, and I would not blame you for doubting our testimony. But given your expertise, you must surely have noted the peculiar nature of their souls.
Any other time and I would have dismissed your stories as balderdash and flummery. But upon closer inspection, 'tis plain their souls are far denser than is normal, and that they do not possess true bodies. Save you. Your body is your own, and your soul is the densest of them all.
As I said before, were it not for their heroism, the skies over Norvrant would still be awash with light, the realm yet at the mercy of 4-3 and the Sin Eaters. After all they have done for our home, seeing them safely back to their own seems the very least we can do.
Your tale is intriguing. Yes, very intriguing indeed. Simply to hear it is fitting payment in itself. As for your friends, I can but agree. Their valorous deeds on behalf of Norvrant are deserving of recognition, of their own fitting payment.
You will help us then?
I will. I would see my knowledge put to good use for a change. I do have one condition, however. I am not the spry young Numo I once was. As such, I will require assistance in my fieldwork and testing.
It would be our pleasure. We'll be laboring for our own benefit after all.
Ho ho! You have spun quite a tale, but tell me, have you given any thought as to how you might return to your world? White aura site, you say? An intriguing proposition, but one which fails to account for the present state of your souls. They have become highly charged, likely as a consequence of having maintained tangible forms for so long. In such an energetic, unstable state, there is no telling what may happen to their souls within the aura site. They could very well become immutable to transference, never to be restored to their bodies. Then, would it be possible to force our souls into a state of dormancy prior to transference? In theory, yes, but the soul is not a candle to be snuffed out and relit on a whim. Well, that sounds ominous. What exactly would rendering our souls dormant entail? In order to maintain a corporeal form, your souls constantly draw ether from your surroundings. This process must be halted and the resulting surfeit of ether removed. Your minds would ultimately be separated from these faux bodies of yours, rendering you incapable of interacting with the world around you. A cruel fate under normal circumstances, but one which will be rectified upon your return home. Leaving lifeless husks, like those poor souls at the inn at Journey's Head, corrupted by the Sin Eaters, their ether made stagnant by the light. Corrupted? Stagnant? Might I see these unfortunate individuals? Why, do you think you might be able to help them? I might, or I might not, but I shan't know for sure until I've seen their condition firsthand. Then I would be glad to take you to them, on the understanding that you won't do anything which might increase their suffering. It was my faith in man I lost, not my compassion. Well, I see no need for all of us to accompany you. While you escort our guests to the inn, I will assist Ariange in creating the requisite aura site. I believe my talents would be better applied to that last endeavor as well. Might I leave the three of you to assist Bedlug as necessary? Let's make for Amarang, then. It is nice having the ability to just teleport all over the place now. Just go wherever I want to go instead of flying and driving there. So you're like, hello! Yes, I'm teleporting out of the middle of your room, don't mind me. So this is Halric, is it? Yes, his etheric balance leans parallelly toward the light, toward stasis. What do you suppose will happen to him? Not too bright, are you, boy? The same as all poor souls corrupted by the light. He will become a Sin Eater. You don't know that. We've defeated the Wardens and banished the light from the night sky. Halric was completely unresponsive before, but now... Oh, he's mumbling. Then, perhaps there is hope. If I may, there is a treatment I wish to administer to the patients. What sort of treatment? In the course of my studies of the soul, I once created a tonic which could temporarily stimulate the ether in one's body. After some refinement, it came to be used by the Knights of Voberd. Then, for far darker purposes. Lest it fall into the wrong hands, I swore never to make it again. For their sakes, I will break that oath. It is not like to reverse the stagnation, mind you, but it should offer some measure of relief. Water brick! Ah, soul tonic. Okay. Todden stares blankly at you. It would seem the tonic has had no effect. This potent tonic, invented by Bedluck during the time of Voberd, is said to revitalize the soul both figuratively and literally. What is this warmth I feel in my chest? Alright, well there's at least one example of possible success. I don't remember quite a fair bit of this, I think. I feel warm, and my legs, they don't feel as heavy. That's a turn in. Red mage time! Oh. Meowm. Now then, have you noted any change in the patients? A notable rise in body temperature and increased motor function, in most of the patients at least. The more severely afflicted show no response. As I feared then. 'Tis true that the restoration of night, the corrupting influence of light, will no longer grow. And yes, their bodies will naturally return to equilibrium given time. But this holds true only for their corporeal ether. Their incorporeal ether, that of the soul, is not so easily mended. Which is why those in the later stages of corruption, like Halric, appear unaffected by your tonic. Precisely. The boy's soul is too far gone, his mind held together by the finest of threads. There is a chance he may one day recover, of course, but it could take years, decades even. By the gods, he could wake to find himself an old man. Fine reward for his persistence, the opportunity to mourn the life he never had a chance to live. No, there must be something we can do. Look, I realize this is not why we petitioned your aid, but do you think it could be possible we can find a way to hasten their recovery? Maybe. Nor do I think it impossible that in treating them, we might learn something of relevance to your own predicament. Money! Tiny smidgens of experience. Every little bit helps. I wonder if I can drag those onto my bar. I suspect the Crystal Exarch has told you of my past, that I was once a mage of the Royal Court of Vobert, and that soulcraft was my field of study. The tonic you administered to the patients here is one of the fruits of my labors. I hope to do great things for this kingdom. But in the end, my knowledge brought only suffering, a plague the like of which none had ever seen. The hands of unscrupulous men, what should have been my greatest triumph, instead became my greatest shame. You mustn't dwell on the past, and now you have a chance to redeem yourself. Oh, that is so mean. What would Dim say? I don't think he would be... He would probably say that. I know that only too well. Alas, the knowledge we must require is steeped in such bitter memories. But let us return to the task at hand, finding a means by which we might revitalize these people's incorporeal ether. Do you think it can be done? Were the sky still ablaze with primordial light, I would call it an exercise in futility. But now we may have a chance. The method I have in mind will entail the conjuring of a familiar. They are able to amplify the energies poured into them, making them the perfect conduit for the aether revitalizing magics we will ultimately employ. If you're about to launch into a lengthy explanation of the metaphysics of your plan, don't bother. I'd rather get on with doing whatever it is that needs to be done, if that's all the same to you. Whatever reagents must be procured or spells invoked, I'll do it. I admire your spirit. Very well, your first task will be to gather the necessary materials. The purest of waters, the finest of clay, as well as a fey lantern brimming with pixie magic. If you're convinced the resulting familiar could help the patients, fine. Alphino, the water and clay will be simple enough, but I think you know that what we'll have to do to get the lantern. You don't mean. The pixies took quite a liking to us before. If we humor them with our company, I'm sure they'll be willing to help us. Fine, we'll pay a visit to Ilmeg, though I never thought you would be the one to suggest going back there. Wait, I can just ask Feo. I'm impressed you've been there at all, let alone befriended the Fey folk. Oh, while you're about it, seek out the new Mauve, Plan Ne. They'll be able to supply you with water suitable for our needs. Right, let's get this over with, shall we? I can just ask Feo. There still remains the matter of the clay. Might I prevail upon you to find it? Feo's gonna get so mad at me again. Oh dear. Okay, I'm gonna see really quick. Oh, I can! Oh, this changes everything. Clay from Amarang will likely be best. Know you of anyone who might be able to assist us? Cast the miners at Twine, while there are scavengers at Mordsuk. Probably go with the scavengers. Scavengers, you say? Well, they may know the lie of the land, but I dare say they are more interested in the trinkets and baubles hiding in the earth than the earth itself. Now, miners, on the other hand, I know some of those. What's that? You know the miners of Twine? Perfect. Speak with them and you should have no trouble procuring what we need. While you and the twins are occupied, I will see if there is aught else I can learn of the stagnation which afflicts the people here. Excellent. Magnus! Need your help again. Hello? Yeet! Demo! Well, what a coincidence. You've come at a good time. We've just this moment finished repairing the Talos and trolley you lot took to Nabatha Rang. The trolley was no trouble, but the Talos would have been another matter had we not had a visit from Master Chai. He offered us a share of the leftover building materials from Daedalus Stoneworks, as well as a few trade secrets to help us along. Clever man, that Chai is. He seemed pretty keen on the ideas I had for putting the giant Talos to work. Like a giant trolley! But Magnus still refuses to see all the good we could do with it. This kid's just obsessed with trains! You're entitled to your daydreams, Jarek, but it doesn't mean you can go harassing our guests with them. Master Chai was just being polite. And something tells me Dima here didn't come all this way to talk about trolleys. What is it you need, friend? Mud. I see. And this familiar requires clay from Amarang? Well, look no further. If anyone can find you some quality clay, it's us. Saying that, it isn't exactly a commodity nowadays, but there must be some lurking somewhere or other waiting to be dug up. If I'm not mistaken, there was a time they used to take clay from Mount Buran mines to make adobe bricks? Place is swarming with coyotes now, but if you're after the good stuff, you could do worse than to look there. Excellent. To the mines! The mines of Moria! Don't think there's a teleport. Nope. Jam gun. I love him. He's so wonderful. Look how sparkly the little dude is. And it's nice because if you get all of these, you get a 2-seater mount. Wait. Oh, the music's so peaceful here. Okay, I did not realize that changing mounts at that time was going to be exactly when the music changed, but I won't fight it. There it is. Go. Oh, I have to collect more than one? Bleh. Just love the rift in the background. Okay. Oh! It's a coyote! We done? Excellent. And now we teleport again. We're just going very fast, you see. Up. Thank you. Okay. Programs are like, hey, we're doing stuff. And I was like, that's good for you. Thank you for pulling my entire mouse out of the game. The twins have returned, and in one piece at that. I was convinced the pixies would turn at least one of them into a garden ornament, but no. You have the clay, I take it? Finally, grain soil material found in Amarang. Pristine clay. Wonderful. We need but combine the clay and the water, then heat the mixture with a fey lantern. After all that, it will be a simple matter of setting upon a suitable form and performing the necessary incantation. Bedlug, I have a question. In the event that we have need of this spell and you weren't around, would it be possible for another to perform the incantation? Assuming they possess the requisite skill, yes. Halric and the others have suffered so much, and I swore to do everything in my power to save them. If there is a chance this spell could do that, I would be the one to invoke it. Mayhap you should be the one to do so. A deep understanding of the subject's physical state, combined with a strong desire to help them, can drastically increase the magic's effect. And you are plainly more familiar with these people than I. I dare say there are few in all of Norvrant more dedicated to finding a cure. Is that not so, Dimma? Absolutely, she's the best woman for the job. Very few, but if aught should go awry, I'll see what I can do. No, she can do it. I'll give it my all, for Halric, for Tesleen. Then we are all of a mind on the matter. Alize shall be the one to conjure the familiar.
Let us begin. I trust you've prepared the clay? Very good. Now, I would have you sculpt for me a porksy. Plump, with floppy ears and a short curly tail.
A porksy. I think I know what you mean. There we are. How's that?
Well, it is certainly creative. There's no denying that.
He wants to die.
Yes, I'm no artist. Very funny.
Pay him no mind, child. Though it may look like a grotesque parody of reality, it is what the invoker believes that matters.
Oh my gosh, so blunt.
You're not helping.
But I speak the truth. If successful, this incantation will turn imagination into reality. Which is why the only thing of import is what you believe this figure embodies. You must focus. Hold the Porksy's image steady in your mind's eye. Now then, as I taught you, relax and allow your energies to flow.
With flesh of clay I bid thee rise, on wings of dreams to touch the skies. What once was idle fantasy, I call forth to reality.
It's so cute!
Not bad for a first attempt. Now, let us see what can be done for young Halric.
No, you! Oh, you so cute.
Through the operation of the magics you invoked to animate this familiar, it is now replete with the energies required to stir the boy's soul. You need but give it a name, and it will do as your heart desires.
With the floppy ears. The little lashes.
A name. All right, I've decided. Now. Go, Angelo!
Mother,
My heart is gonna get me again. How is he, Bedlug? Did it work? I believe it did. You and your fledgling familiar have done well. My eyes do not deceive, a hint of color has returned to his soul. Gods, I would jump for joy if I weren't so exhausted. We're so close now, Halric. As you are even now in the process of discovering, his magic asks much of the invoker. What you may not have realized is that the same is also true of the subject. As such, we must proceed with caution. However, with further treatment, I have the utmost confidence the boy will make a full recovery. Observing the reanimation of his stagnant soul has been most enlightening. I will need time to put my theories to the proof, but I believe I can fashion a spell to produce the opposite effect. That is, to induce stagnation, thus enabling our safe transport back to the source via Aurosite. A thought occurred to me about this treatment. Bedlug said that when the soul is rendered dormant, the mind is separated from the body, that a person becomes incapable of interacting with the world around them. Does that not sound a lot like some of the tempered back in the source? Not really. But it is the fate of most tempered to become slaves to primals, save in a handful of cases. Or am I missing something? If I can master this technique, the art of revitalizing the soul, I know of at least one in the source who could desperately use such treatment. Not sure. Follow. Gaboo! Do you really think it could work? He does not follow. He follows nothing. Except the source of his next meal. Gaboo. His condition is eerily similar to Halric and the others, the only difference being that his soul was suffused with earth-aspected ether from summoning Titan rather than light. It follows that if his soul is subject to a similar kind of stagnation, there may be a chance we can save him. Right? Forgive me, but who is this Gaboo fellow of whom you speak? I see. His condition does sound similar. Yet there is much and more about the soul that remains unknown even to me. I say this not to discourage you, you understand, but to remind you that this is delicate work we do here, work requiring patience. Of course. And as long as there is hope for the patients here, I will devote whatever time is needed to see this through. But I refuse to spend that time in idleness. If it's all the same to you, I'd like to stay here with Angelo and continue with their treatment. The two of you should return to the Crystarium with Bedlug and see if you can't make some headway with their newly posited theories. I would tell you to rest first, but I can see you'd not be convinced. Ah, the fire of youth. Let us return to the Crystarium, then. Finally, I've found you. Who's... Kashir! Kashir, what are you doing all the way out here? There's trouble back in Yulmore. Lady Chai's beside herself, sighing, pacing, the whole lot. Near enough begged me to go and find you. Sighing and pacing, you say? It must be urgent. I take it you will be returning to the Crystarium alone. Go on then, it's not as if I have anything for you to do. Oh, I will be returning. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Bedlug. What if Bedlug gets eaten? Sorry for bothering you and all that, but she says the future of Yulmore's at stake. I forgot to swap, and now I missed the XP. I'm sad. Oh. Lady Chai's up in the parlor. Best not to keep her waiting, eh? Nod, nod. To Yulmore! I have teleportation there. I mean flight. I have flight there. Aw, next one indeed. The road goes on and on. Well, not here seems out of the ordinary, though I do not see Lady Chai anywhere. Probably pacing around outside again, staring off into the distance with all that. Sighing. Strange. Let's see if we can find her and discover the source of her distress. Yeet! There we go. Oh. Okay. Red Mage! He looks so good in this.
Oh, thank heavens you're here!
Lady Chai, whatever is the matter?
I knew not where else to turn. Oh, this is all too much for my poor heart to bear alone.
Alone? What of Master Chai?
That is the very reason I summoned you. He's gone.
What? What happened?
It all began after the events at Mount Gulg. With Lord Vorthry out of the way, we all agreed that a new leader must be chosen.
And so you held an election?
Yes, well, sort of. Not a single person volunteered to stand, you see. After a lifetime of leisure, we free citizens have grown somewhat indolent. Readapting to the harsh realities of life is trying enough, but to take charge of a broken city as well? No one wanted such responsibility. Nevertheless, Yulmore could not well do without a leader, and so we decided that anyone and everyone should be considered a candidate. And after we cast our ballots and tallied the votes, the mayorship fell upon my dear husband.
Well, given the manner in which he orchestrated the construction of the giant Talos, none could deny his leadership qualities.
But even before then, he had proven himself at Daedalus Stoneworks, don't forget. He is more than qualified for the role. The perfect choice.
Oh, she loves him so much.
Indeed. I told him as much when his victory was first announced. But perhaps I was too forceful in my attempt to encourage him. For shortly after that, he vanished without a word.
You believe he was so daunted by the burden of leadership that he felt compelled to flee?
She's precious.
Please, Lady Chai, dry your eyes. Your husband does not strike me as the sort of man who would abandon his duty, much less his beloved wife. There has to be some other reason for his absence.
You truly think so? What about you? What do you think has become of my husband?
Don't know, but whatever it is, he wouldn't want to fled. Sorry, but I think he's bled. Oh my gosh. Damn. No. Do I dare? I'm gonna do it.
Nay, my friend. The one thing he has not done is flee. Of that I am convinced. Through the most testing of times, he has ever remained at Lady Chai's side, placing her happiness before his own. He would not abandon her now.
Alphino, putting him in his place.
Wherever he may have gone, rest assured we will find him.
That's the truth of it. The reality of Dim as a warrior of light is that it's everyone else around him who actually solves the problems. He's just there.
Thank you, my dear boy. You have set my mind at ease. I will trust in my husband and await his return.
That's rough, buddy. Tiny little smidge of experience. Oh wait, I don't need to do that anymore. I can just do it with the click of a button. You know, Yulmore's nothing like I thought it'd be, but somehow I can't picture going anywhere else. Chais are part of it, I suppose. They've been good to me. I only wish there was something more I could do to help them. Makes no sense for Master Chai to have left without a word. But even if he had, he would not have done so unobserved. Someone here will have seen something, I am sure of it. We should split up and inquire as to whether anyone saw him leave, or, failing that, if they have any idea where he might have gone. I will meet you at Glory Gate to compare notes later. Reaper. Yes. Moen. Moen. Hi, Moen. Master Chai? Why, yes, I spoke with him recently. Though I recall he was in a rather dour mood. Concerned about Yulmore's neglect of industry, you see. With Lord Vothry's apparently inexhaustible stores of meal and no great need for money, it's little wonder our business were all but forgotten under his rule. But I assured Master Chai that the Boutique of Splendors will do all it can to contribute to the revival of trade here in Yulmore, which seemed to satisfy him. He took his leave soon after. Your exchange with Moen has taught you about the stagnant state of business in Yulmore. Alright, well, at least there's not an R in her name. Okay. There we go. Okay. Are they inside? Oh, yep. Looking for Master Chai, are you? Is something amiss? When last I saw him, he seemed ready to collapse from exhaustion. I insisted he rest and catch his breath. We talked for a while about his concerns over the city's defenses, amongst other things. He made more than a few valid points. Many of our men are still recovering after your confrontation with Lord Vothry, and finding General Ranjit in a heap in the middle of the plaza shook us all to the core. The man commanded no small amount of loyalty, and some of our longest-serving soldiers seemed lost without him. Indeed, a number of them left. Not that we blame you, of course. Without you and yours, we would still be blind to the error of our ways. Anyway, funding permitting, I proposed replenishing our ranks with volunteers from the derelicts in Gatetown. We have a duty to protect not only Yulmore, you see, but the surrounding regions of Calusia as well. And I, for one, would welcome any man or woman willing to take up arms for that cause. Indeed, I told him as much, and he seemed relieved to hear it. It was on that note that we parted ways. He headed outside, as I recall. Exchange with Corinne has taught you about the perilous state of Yulmore's defenses. Back here. Yum. There's someone around here. Oh. I recall a man fit in that description. Asked to speak with the poor buggers lately come from Right. Said he wanted to know the state of things down in the derelicts. And you can be sure we gave him an earful. Lack of food, medicine, clothing, there was plenty to tell. We hunt high and low for whatever we can scavenge, and it's barely enough to fill our bellies. But folk here don't just want to survive, they want to thrive. When he heard that, he started mumbling to himself, something about finding us work, I think. Fair play to him, though. Not content with having his ear chewed up about the derelicts, he asked about the other settlements and all. After that, I can't really say. Looked like he was headed for Gatetown when last I saw him. Your exchange with Hathenbet has taught you about the poor living conditions of Calusia's downtrodden. Speak with Alpha Nerd. Meow. There we go. I was about to be like, is there really a wall here after all that? Oh, there you are. How did you fare? Have you learned anything which might offer a clue as to Master Chai's whereabouts? Yeah, I have notes on it, actually. Interesting. He apparently paid a visit to the Queen Bee as well. They discussed the possibility of granting admission to customers from outside Yulmore, an idea to which the proprietor was surprisingly receptive. Sounds like he's got big plans for the place. Yulmore, I mean, not the Bee. Perhaps, but the question remains, where did he go after leaving the city? All we know for certain is that Master Chai has shown great concern not only for Yulmore, but its surrounding settlements. It seems logical, then, that having consulted those within the city walls, he would wish to do the same to those without. Dimma, if you would go and make inquiries in Right, I shall do likewise in Stilltide. Gate Town I leave to you, Kaishir. Fair enough. Where should we meet when we've finished? Well, Top Rung would seem to me to be his next most likely destination. Let us reconvene there. With any luck, one of us will have stumbled upon him by then, but if not, we will be well situated to continue our search. Alright. Go to Right. So I can teleport right to Right. Ha! 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 There's gotta be someone here. I went the wrong way, didn't I? I'm confused. Oh, there it is. A slot. No, the name doesn't ring any bells, but there was a rather dapper-looking Mistel gentleman here not long ago. He wanted to talk about relations between Wright and Yulmore, or rather lack of them. We lost a great many people to their promises of meal and the chance of a lavish life among the free. And Vothri thought to take even more from us, conscripting the few able-bodied men we had left to guard his paradise. I needn't tell you what happened when the Sin Eaters came. Such things are hard to forgive. But Vothri's gone now, and we're curious to see what will become of Yulmore in his absence. That's what we told your friend, Chai Nuz, was it? And I'm sure the others said the same. Not that he wanted to hear, I suppose, but he left soon after, and that was that. Alright. Now it is time for the Gwib! 'Cause I can fly! Go, Gwib, go! Look at him! He's so cute! He's so good! My dragon. I love him. Fly! He fly! There is only... So we did Titania Extreme, and there was only one dragon mount that dropped during the entire time we ran it, and I got it, and it's mine now, and I love it. Love it. Look at it. It makes me so happy. So he paid a visit to both Wright and Gate Town as well, did he? I see, Kaishir and I gleaned much the same. He seems determined to salvage what goodwill he might yet remain among the settlements of Calusia, the only likely place he has left to go being Amity. Come, if we are quick, we may yet catch up with him. It is a big yay. I felt kind of bad because I was the only one who got them out. But I mean, it's not like I'm gonna just ditch everyone else when they want to run it again, so I'm just really excited because I've never had one of these before. There he is, the man himself. RNG is RNG, yeah. I will do all the helps that I can. Dimma, Alphano, Kaishir, what are you doing here? We might ask you the same, Master Chai. We've been looking for you looking all over for you. Wow. Looking for me? Whatever for? Lady Chai has been nigh inconsolable in your absence. She claims you disappeared without so much as a word and bade us return you to her side. What in the blazes are you talking about? Left a letter for her in our chambers. Though I suppose she could have overlooked it. When she gets an idea into her head, I can only apologize. No harm done, Master Chai, but since we are here, might I ask what compelled you to come all this way? You don't have any dragons yet? Do you want to do runs with us sometime when we do them? We were told you had been elected mayor, and from what we have gathered from the nearby villages, you have been inquiring about the people's grievances. Is it safe to assume you mean to take office? Now, let's not jump to conclusions. I did seek to learn about the problems faced by the people of Clusia, that much is true, but I am by no means sure I am the man to solve them. Tackling our many challenges will require resources, and until I have secured them, I would not be right to assume the role of mayor. I see. And you believe said resources can be found here? Excellent! Well, you're welcome to join us whenever you want. Oh yeah, I need all the dogs except for one that I got from the Tombstone events, and I need 2 more birds. And we just finished a horse run recently, though I think we're planning to do it again potentially. Yeah, that Discord that I invited you to recently, they've been doing mount runs and stuff, so if you keep an eye on that, they'll put it in announcements every so often, and you can join us. Indeed, the people's grievances are many, but in the course of my inquiries, I have already met with several individuals willing to lend their aid in addressing them. However, there remains one individual crucial to my plans, a man whose counsel might yet make a mayor of me. With respect, such forethought is, in itself, proof of your suitability. The city needs you, Master Chai, and I am certain this man of whom you speak, whoever he may be, will reach the same conclusion. For what little it is worth, we will vouch for you should he require convincing. Whatever you need, you can count on us. We believe in you, Master Chai! I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. You've got your actions to speak for you. Thought I misread that for a second. For as long as I can remember, all I ever wanted was to make it into Yulmore, but that dream's gone now, burst like a bubble, or a boil, more like. Anyway, outside of repaying Master Alphino, I haven't had a clue what to do with myself. Spent most days in a daze. But you've been running up and down, trying to find a way to fix this mess for everyone. And I reckon you can do it. You got this lot up Mount Gulg, didn't you? How hard could mayoring be? You're going to steer Yulmore to a better future, I know it. And I want to help, properly help, do something that makes a difference. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll work it out on the way. If you let me come with you, that is. You give me entirely too much credit, the lot of you. But I can't deny it gives me heart. Come then, let us press on together. Thank you, Master Chai. But we mustn't get ahead of ourselves. Yulmore needs more than a man with good intentions, which is why I am here, to find one with the experience needed to see the city thrive. Who is this man exactly, and are you certain he's here in Amity? Rendon is his name, and yes, he is, or was. I had scarcely begun to explain myself when he decided his time was better spent elsewhere. He served as chief advisor to Vothri's father when he was in office. Ranjit was the mayor's right hand, you might say Rendon was the left, and between them they kept Yulmore on the road to prosperity. The city needs more than a mere man of business, which is why I must find him. But even if you do, what makes you think he will listen? Before giving chase, might it not be wise to speak to those who know him here in Amity? They may be able to shed some light on his reason for rejecting your overtures out of hand. Yes, I suppose that makes sense. Perhaps we could start with Tristal, then. As I recall, you made a rather favorable impression on him. I'm certain he would be willing to talk to us. I like how the lighting changed as the sun set. That was cool. But yeah, Jack, definitely keep an eye on that Discord, and then I'll try to remember to message you when I see announcements for the next mount farming go up. Greetings, friend. And you too, Master Chai. I presume you are here to ask after Rendon. I couldn't help but overhearing your earlier exchange. Yes, well, with Vothri gone, Yulmore wants for a leader. Should no one rise up to the challenge, the city very well could collapse. I came here seeking Rendon's counsel in the hope that we could build a better Yulmore together, and that is still my wish, but given how abominably you were mistreated here, I will quite understand if you choose not to help. Of course, always happy to help. I'm just bad about remembering to do things, so I do my best, but I am not good about remembering to do all the things. Worry not, Master Chai, I bear no grudge against you or the people of Yulmore, and I would not see you suffer for Valthry's villainy. As you no doubt gathered from your earlier meeting, Rendon can be rather uncompromising. He has his principles, you see, and little patience for anyone he deems less committed to their own. Your desire to right the wrongs of your past, of Yulmore's past, is quite admirable, but I fear the guilt you bear on the city's behalf works against you. I can see it in your eyes, the way you carry yourself. It goes without saying he sees it as well. You must let those feelings go, Master Chai. Be more assertive, commit to this course, and prove to him Yulmore has the resolve to change. The resolve to change. I believe he was heading towards Pit 8 when he left. If you plan to go and speak with him, I suggest you be firm and clear in your intentions. Very well, to Pit 8 we shall go. I will not take no for an answer, nay, not even a maybe. Well, this is going to be interesting. Gwib! Gib Gwib! Just steal Adrian's catchline. Gib Gwib. Yum. Hello. Rendon the Rodigan. Okay. Have a good sleep, Jack. Thanks for joining in. It was good to see you.
Well, it's you again. Well, I see you've invited your friends. Need them to fight your battles for you, do you?
I didn't invite them, as it happens, though they are indeed my friends. Well, not only mine, but every true Yulmoran's. They are the ones who awakened us to the truth, to Lord Valthry's villainy, the famous warriors of darkness.
Are they now?
Excuse me, you're a dick.
They are. It would be no exaggeration to call them our saviors. We owe much and more to their kindness, but we cannot depend on that kindness forever. To do so would be a little different from entrusting our affairs to Lord Valthry. Nay, we must learn to stand on our own 2 feet. And I would have them present to witness my attempt.
Hear, hear, Master Chai.
Your sentiments are admirable. Yet admirable sentiments do not a nation make.
Get that smug smile off your face.
In my capacity as advisor, I once strove to build a better Yulmore. Gave honest counsel to my superiors, drafted laws for the benefit of one and all. But in time, my values fell out of favor. There was no need for them in this paradise Valthry was creating, and so I left my homeland behind. But you, Chai News, you were content to wallow in indolence under Valthry's auspices. And so I cannot help but ask myself what manner of nation you intend to build.
I can offer no simple answer to that question. But this much I will say. It is my hope that Yulmore can become a nation which her citizens might freely choose to build together. A great many people, myself included, flocked to Yulmore seeking sanctuary. The alternative being to live in fear and die in pain. It seemed an easy choice, and sanctuary we found. as much food and drink as we could ever want, secured at the cost of the surrounding villages. Little wonder the people gathered at our doorstep, begging to work among the bonded. The free were blind to it all, of course, content to, as you say, wallow in indolence, in ignorance. Were I mayor, I would first take stock of the city's resources and see that they were assigned equitably. Our days of reckless consumption are behind us. The distinction between free and bonded died with Vor3. The needs of rich and poor alike must be considered if our nation is to survive. To which end I would take steps to secure channels for supplies, rekindle relations with nearby settlements, who re-establish industry, reach out to neighboring nations, and the list goes on and on. But I am no ruler, nor even a politician. I am an entrepreneur. My expertise lie in planning and profit. I haven't the knowledge or experience to run a nation. Please, Rendon, will you not help me? Together, we could solve the city's problems. Build a Yulmore for the people.
A Yulmore for the people. I rather like the sound of that. But before I offer you my counsel, I would be certain of your ability to perform the duties of office.
You would?
You ask me to help you solve Yulmore's problems, but first I would see you solve one on your own. Accomplish that, and you will prove both to me and the people that you are a man worth following.
The smug face. Red Mage! Right then. Is there a particular issue you would have me resolve? You seem to have conducted an assessment of the problems Yulmore now faces. I assume you will agree, therefore, that the matter of dwindling food stores is most pressing. Ah, yes. Meal being neither a desirable nor less sustainable option, I assume alternative foodstuffs are now required to fill the void. And a man who hungers is not like to contribute much to society, save violence, perhaps. So tell me, how do you propose to solve this problem? Give me a satisfactory answer, and I will consider offering you my counsel. A combination of measures would seem to be in order. One to address the immediate issue of supply, and another, that of the production. Go on. For the present, Yulmore's coffers can be used to purchase food from our neighbors. This would afford us time to address the underlying problem that affects us all, the long-standing neglect of agriculture. The villages that once served as sources of trade for foodstuffs must be repopulated, their means of reproduction restored. This assumes, of course, that we can rekindle relations with our neighbors, guarantee security and stability in the region, and, most importantly, find people willing to leave the city and take up the rebuilding effort. My. Think of that all by yourself, did you? Well, yes. It began as a rather abstract plan I drafted some time ago after speaking with the peoples of Yulmore and the nearby settlements. You've impressed me, Chinas. I have? Well, that is a relief. Well, you haven't secured my support just yet, only my attention. Grand plans will not be enough to persuade the masses. If you would ask them to rebuild, you must provide them the means to do so. A fair point, Rendon. and one to which I have given much thought. I propose the use of Talos in the aid of establishment and maintenance of these settlements. Their employment should drastically improve efficiency and ultimately increase production. Talos? But Daedalus Stoneworks closed their doors years ago. Without a ready supply of necessary equipment, the people would starve before your plans could be put into effect. Well, as the heir to Daedalus Stoneworks, it just so happens that Talos are my field of expertise. And with a little help, I'm quite certain we can acquire what we need in no time at all. Oh, look at his face. He's so excited. I'm so proud of him. Well done, Chinas. Rendon is quite right. Building Talos from scratch would require time we simply do not have, which is why I propose we make use of the long-abandoned Talos which wander the wilds of Calusia. They will need to be deactivated, of course, and if memory serves, the tools required to do so will still be at top rung. Come with me. To top rung! I'll probably... It is late. I should probably call it a night here, honestly. And then we can pick up with Talos deactivating next time. Because we've been going for a good 2 hours now, and I need sleep. It's early in the morning, and I got a lawn to mow tomorrow that I've been putting off for several days. I thank you all for joining me tonight. I do hope that you had fun. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Don't be a stranger now. And have a good night.